Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, for yet another episode of Fighting Fantasy Fun as we go into Rebel Planet for the. Hang on, is it the fifth time now? I lose count because I always forget to check before I start a new episode exactly what episode I am on. And also, I believe this is roughly my Fighting Fantasy episode number 95, I think. So I'm almost at 100. I'll have to do something special for number 100. I don't know what to do yet. Maybe I'll do Fighting Fantasy Roulette again. I thought that was quite fun. Okay, so what is Fighting Fantasy Roulette? Well, the rules are very simple. You start with one book. Of course, if you want to make it consistent, you can start with book number one, The Warlock of Firetop Mountain, and you start on paragraph one. But at the end of that paragraph, when it tells you which paragraph to go to, you make your selection based on that book, but you go and pick book number two, and you go to that paragraph in that book instead of in book number one. And then you keep going like that and try to survive as long as possible. If you get to a victory paragraph, usually paragraph 400, you win. If you die, then you die. So some improvisation may be needed because of differing rules, but generally it sort of works and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I'll need to do that again. I did it once for my episode, no, not for 400 subscriber special, but then I now need to do it again, I think, for my 100th episode special. Anyway, enough jabbering from me. Let's get started. So, ta-da! Oh, hang on, not quite yet, not quite yet. I forgot to do my sort of normal recap first, actually. So last time I made some mistakes again, and I died. And I'm still struggling a bit with this one. It's an interesting puzzle, this book. So I've got lots of new venues to explore. I made some mistakes last time I will not be repeating ever, like taking the taxi into town or trying to, things like that. And also, I forgot to mention, of course, the introduction to this video, and I'm not talking about me talking right now, but the actual background to the book is quite long. So if you want to skip the introduction to in the book itself, once I do my transition, that is, I move my book into the camera, if you jump ahead by about 13 and a half minutes, you will get to where I start on the actual gameplay. Okay, I think that's enough housekeeping for now. Let's get started. Boom. Here we are, Rebel Planet. History. It is the year 2453. Human colonization of far-flung planets of the galaxy began in 2070, with the first expedition to Tropos, only 6.8 light-years away from Earth. Tropos gradually became a center in its own right, relieving the pressures caused on Earth by too many people. Home from home claimed the glossy brochures designed to attract further colonists, but more terrestrial than terrestrials was nearer the mark, as the fashions and habits of the late 21st century became fossilized and fell behind changes on Earth. Canny travel agents used to advertise visits to Tropos as journeys back in time. With the discovery of Ziridium on Tropos and the invention of the Alpha Ziridium system, which enables spaceships to keep accelerating rather than simply traveling at the same speed, more distant planets became neighbors. The next planet found to be suitable for humans was Radix. One of the unexpected factors in inhabiting another planet is that any new species must adapt to suit that planet. Radix is a very fertile planet, and the human colonists there soon found that so-called human nature is mainly a product of the planet Earth. Life on Radix was so easy and luxurious that the colonists quickly settled into a way of living that, by Earth standards, was lazy and corrupt. There are very few planets in the galaxy that humans can inhabit. Even those which have the right atmosphere may be too hot or too cold, or have too much or too little gravity. Eventually, Halmuris was discovered, but not before several expeditions had been lost in the abyss of space. Conditions on Halmuris are bleak and bitter. It became mainly a home for scientists and explorers who were waiting to find and be sent to the next planet. Before long, they had found it. The first unmanned flights brought back pictures of a planet obscured by cloud, whose atmosphere, as revealed by spectral analysis, was a breathable but lighter version of Earth's. In their joy at the thought of getting off Halmuris, though some would remain as a sort of base camp, they gave the new planet the peaceful name of Arcadion. But what did the clouds hide? Arcadion consists of 3 landmasses, separated by huge expanses of water. Because of the separation of the continents, a different species developed on each landmass. By 2285, when human spaceships split the clouds and came down to the surface of Arcadion, the 3 species had been united for a long time. The inventive and intelligent occupants of the vast horseshoe-shaped continent, which circles half the globe from east to west, had conquered the warlike northern species and the more artistic southerners. The alliance, as it was called, had lasted for centuries. Their technology, however, was more primitive than Earth's, and space travel was restricted. They wanted to conquer space just as much as human beings, for they wanted an empire. So when the few human spaceships landed, the Arcadians soon saw the advantages of Alpha Ziridium. The war took only 12 years, and for most of that time the Arcadians were building Alpha Ziridium fleets rather than actually fighting. First, the outpost on Halmuris was taken by surprise and overrun. Radix, to its eternal shame, gave in without a struggle. The invaders met with stiff resistance from the Tropians, who were eager to keep their traditional way of life. But the Tropians, too, were overwhelmed by the greater numbers and fighting skills of the Arcadians. Earth itself, with its bases on Mercury, Venus, and the Moon, fell soon afterwards, and the worst fears of the prophets of doom backed by the terrestrial ecology party, who never wanted to leave Earth in the first place, came true. Human beings became ruled by a galactic empire. The Arcadians were badly equipped to control an empire at first, but Arcadians are very adaptable. They built a massive organic computer on Arcadion. Binary is natural for the 2-fingered Arcadians. And implanted into the brain of every Arcadian a receiver linked to the central organic complex by empathy, which had long been recognized to be the quickest form of communication. The Arcadians became like a hive or an ant colony. Each individual is a cell of a sprawling single entity, an entity which can control an empire with merciless efficiency. Arcadion, a peaceful name, but for 150 years it has been another word for tyranny. The only human word still spitefully allowed is the name of the planet. Esperanto was the common tongue of human beings, but now its use means instant death. Humans are slaves and are only kept alive to serve the aliens, and humans do not live for very long these days. The only Arcadian regret is that the human body cannot be implanted with the empathic receiver, as they discovered after the vivisection and death of hundreds of test cases. The Arcadians chose to submit their will to the central computer, but human will cannot be wiped out without death. The aliens can keep their power only through cruelty. But it has not gone unnoticed on Earth that the weakness, as well as the strength of the Arcadians, is that they rely on the computer. They no longer have any will of their own, so they would become zombies if the computer were destroyed. The weakness of a hive is the supreme importance of the queen ant or bee. The weakness of the empire is the computer queen of Arcadion, and this is where you come in. Mission background. In times past, the planning and funding of human colonization of other planets was undertaken by Saros, an international organization promoting search and research of space. Under the Arcadian Empire, Saros has had to change. Although it seems to be just an astronomical institute, in fact it has been doing all it can to overthrow the empire. It quickly became clear that a full-scale military attack was out of the question, and that the only hope lay in a solo mission to destroy the central computer. Preparing for this mission has been a long and patient task, hindered by the fact that radio transmitters are still not allowed, and contact with the underground on other planets was difficult. But two factors make the time right now, or as right as it probably ever will be. First, you are the perfect choice for the mission. You are resourceful, courageous, and dedicated to liberation. You have been trained for many months in martial arts, and you have acquired a knowledge of those branches of science that could be at all useful. Finally, your cover is excellent. You will travel as a merchant. For the second factor is that humans are now allowed to travel in space again, though only as merchants to serve the Arcadians. You will be taking wheat from Earth to Tropos, Ziridium from Tropos to the authorities on Radix, luxury goods from Radix to Halmuris, and you have been instructed to take an important Arcadium from Halmuris to Arcadion. The other significant aspect of the lifting of the ban on space travel is that Saros has been able to send spies to gather information you need for your mission. The picture that emerged is still incomplete, because vital details were lost through traitors, some humans trying to please their masters in the hope of some crumbs of comfort or of living for a few extra months. This treachery has its good and its bad side. The good side is that now you know you will not automatically be able to trust every human you meet, because some may be helping the Arcadians. The bad side is that your mission must go ahead now, although the information is incomplete, before the Arcadians get wind of it. But the knowledge that did get through is crucial. The building that houses the Queen computer on Arcadion can be entered by using a numerical code of 9 binary digits. And the underground leaders on each planet may know something to help you discover what the number is. The missing details are who the underground leaders are. You only know code names at best, and of course what the digits are. That is why your cover has been arranged to allow you to stop on each planet. You must locate the rebel leaders and learn the digits. Then you must destroy the computer. Contact with aliens. The 3 Arcadian species that you will come across in this adventure are each different to look at. More important, they have different ways of behaving and thinking, some of which humans find difficult to understand, even after years of contact. Here is a brief description of each species taken from the Saros manual. All 3 species are roughly humanoid in appearance. They have 2 arms and 2 legs, because evolution beyond a certain limited state requires manual dexterity, which in turn needs an upright posture. All the species have 2 fingers on each hand and 2 toes on each foot. Northern Arcadians are about 3 meters tall at the most. They are spindly, with more joints in their arms and legs than humans. Their heads are squat and squarish, but their most distinctive physical feature is a thick, muscular tail, tipped with a vicious spike, which is an extremely useful weapon in battle, though it is also used for balance. Northern Arcadians are matter-of-fact, military types who like nothing so much as a good massacre. They are not very intelligent, which is why they are the easiest Arcadians to understand. Southern Arcadians are like a roly-poly version of the Northerners, but do not let that fool you. They can fight if they want to. Their chief physical differences from the Northerners are that they have no tail. They are shorter and squatter, and they have two antennae. The purpose of these antennae is not clear, but the most likely explanation is that they pick up feelings. They use these antennae in a variety of ways, many of which are too subtle for a human to understand, so it is easy to offend them. They tend to be sensitive anyway. They prefer to talk in a very poetic way, which can be confusing at times, though they seem to understand one another perfectly. However, they have learned to talk down to insensitive humans. Central Arcadians are the most powerful species and are the most human to look at. They are usually under 2 meters tall and have the same number of joints in their arms and legs as humans. Apart from their small tail, the most obvious difference between Central Arcadians and humans is their elongated head, which tends to jut out at right angles from their shoulders. The head has a pulpy crest of tissue. Physically, they are by far the weakest of the three species, but they make up for this by their skill. In battle, for instance, they are often able to win by distracting their opponent. Their thoughts tend to be very abstract, and they quite often behave in a way that means something to them, but is difficult for anyone else to understand. It is as if they did not care whether others can follow such trains of thought. This is just one example of how arrogant they are. Boom. Okay, here we are on my desk. I got my supplies ready, as I like calling them. I got my dice, my pens, my pencil, my maps, my book, my character sheet to be. Right, so I've got skill. 10 is all right. Stamina, 20. It's all right. Luck, 11. It's all right. All right plus, I would say. Okay, so that's pretty good. I also have start the game with, I believe, 2,000 credits, which of course is like the gold coins of this future world. Let's get started. Character sheet there. My maps. Will be needing my maps, and without my maps I will be lost very quickly. Actually, I wouldn't. I would be okay, but it makes it so much easier to explore and see where you haven't been and where you should go, and etc. You settle comfortably into the padded pilot seat of your spaceship. Strap yourself in and examine the instrument panel. This is remarkably simple, consisting mainly of a computer terminal and several screens. The mechanisms of the Alpha Zeridium system are hidden deep within the bowels of the craft, and there is no need for you to have anything to do with them. Even if something did go wrong, your robot engineers would soon sort it out. The ship's computer has been pre-programmed to take you to Tropos and land there. Now you ask the computer to check all life support systems throughout the ship. Within seconds, its tinny voice responds. Everything is functioning correctly. You contact base control to tell them you are ready. The ship's main support towers are towed away by massive robot trucks. You flick the switch, which activates the drive apparatus, and you're off. Within minutes, the ill effects of the first thrust required for takeoff die down as you leave Earth's exosphere and enter the inky blackness of space. The gravi-drags are automatically triggered so that gravity within the ship is kept the same as on Earth, allowing you and your robots to move about freely. You switch on the rear-view screen to watch Earth getting smaller behind you. White cloud formations swirl and the sun glints off the northern ice cap. Though you have often seen this sight before on trips to Mercury and Venus, it never fails to excite you. And this time you feel homesick as well. Will you ever see Earth again? Your mission is so vital and so dangerous. Time passes. Quite a lot, I would imagine. After a few hours, one of the screens flickers into life. That's not much time. The computer is alerting you to the presence of another spacecraft, which is keeping a constant distance away from you and seems to be shadowing you. Will you order the computer to take evasive action or continue on your way? And I will continue on my way because I think evasive action at this point is going to alert the Arcadians to the fact that you are not actually up to any good, as far as they're concerned, of course. Quite right. Your escort must be an Arcadian, and you do not want to draw attention to yourself. You pass the journey pleasantly enough, and eating, sleeping, exercising, and playing chess with a computer. Excuse me. When they land on Tropos, you find that you are due to take off again tomorrow for Radix. The Arcadian guards at customs search your anti-grav pack, but find no more than your clothes, because they don't search your body, and they rely on the metal detectors to do their job. But your laser sword has been treated with a chemical which prevents it activating the detectors, and your money belt contained no metal. Why would you have a money belt if you have credits? I presume I would have thought credits was a digital currency. Anyway. Once you have registered as all non-tropian humans must on arrival, you leave the spaceport. Turn to 299. Also, you're a merchant. You would have money, wouldn't you? Anyway. Once you are out of the spaceport, you have no problems finding a hover taxi. And you climb in. Why should they hover anyway? What's the point of the hovering? What is the point of the hovering? Because you would always use less energy on wheels, and you want to conserve energy. Anyway, you climb in and instruct the microcomputer to take you south into town. You notice that a camera has been fixed in the taxi. Well, there are cameras in all taxis these days. So that shouldn't be news to you, not really. There has been no attempt to disguise it. Presumably, of course, the science fiction of the 80s was a bit innocent, wasn't it? Things were hovering a lot. Hoverboards and hover cars. And the future is going to hover a lot less than science fiction of the 80s, that's for sure. I mean, there'll be less air travel, there'll be more high-speed rail travel, and you will still be mostly on the ground, I think you'll find. Anyway, where was I? Yes, you notice that the camera has been fixed in the taxi. There has been no attempt to disguise it. Presumably, it transmits everything it sees to the Arcadian police headquarters, and presumably there is a listening device as well. Why wouldn't there be? It is a good thing that they cannot read minds, because your thoughts are racing. You know 3 things about the underground leader on Tropos, the codename Bellatrix. That he or she can be located through a club called the Fish and Chips, which is in the city you are heading for, and that Bellatrix rules the rebels strictly with a code of honor that all must obey. And that's quite a lot to be going on. It's more than you know about the rebels on other planets, and should make your task on Tropos relatively easy, if you act sensibly. The other thing occupying your mind is that most of the Arcadians on Tropos seem to be members of the warlike northern species. The presence of so many of these natural fighters could make your mission on Tropos more hazardous. Why have so many of them been posted here? Are they closing in on the rebels? Do the Arcadians know that the fish and chips is more than it seems? There are many unanswered questions, but you turn your mind to the task at hand. There are still 6 hours to go before curfew. Will you instruct the taxi to take you straight to the fish and chips, or to the hostel at which off-planet humans have to stay? So I'm going to the hostel, 196. If you do tell it to go to the fish and chips straight away, it tells you that I'm sorry, we can't do that. I'm sorry, I cannot do that. Because of course no cars are allowed in town because of the pollution. And so you can only take a taxi to the outskirts of town, which is where the hostel is, apparently. The hostel is a semi-derelict, flea-ridden building, and tropian fleas have to be seen to be believed. Two northern Arcadian guards stand by the door, and inside, a scruffy southerner is sitting in a chair, leaning back against the wall, apparently asleep. What an odd setup. No robot receptionist or computerized check-in. That is so old-fashioned, isn't it? And outside, everything is just as old-fashioned. There are no personal or public overhead monorail systems. The buildings are mostly late 21st century and low-lying, and the pollution. To think they haven't yet got around to dealing with it. A sign on the wall says, "Remember, no vehicles in town. Offenders will be prosecuted." A typically primitive solution to a primitive problem. And of course, in current day terms, the state of the place here, this town, the hostel, it would be a little bit like someone now in the early 21st century arriving in a early Victorian inn, I suppose. So yeah, in London with smog. Yes. Will you wait for the receptionist to notice you or draw his attention to your presence? I'm going to draw his attention to my presence. So 188. You clear your throat. No response. You say, "Oi, excuse me." No response. Will you now wait, or will you keep trying to attract his attention? I will keep trying to attract his attention. After several further more or less polite attempts. Oh, by the way, I just want to mention this now because the first time I got to this paragraph, when you look at it right away, it looks like an insta-death or like an end paragraph. If you look at it now, and it sort of ends down here and it ends with ... there. And when you scan this spread here, it doesn't immediately look like it continues on this side here. So it looks like an instant death, actually. So I got a bit startled the first time I got to this one. I think there's another one as well somewhere where that happened. After several further more or less polite attempts to wake him up, you decide to go around to the back of the reception counter so that you can nudge him awake. As you walk around, something glinting on the floor catches your eye, and you stoop to pick it up. It is a large button from a jacket on which there is a curious design of an eagle clutching a scroll in its talons, which I pick up, of course. Then, from your crouched position, you notice something else. A pool of blood under the Arcadian's chair. He's been murdered. Well, he's been killed. Not necessarily murdered. Different thing. You pocket the button, so we got button. Also, I'm a bit sort of surprised in hindsight now at the fact that you sort of think, "Oh, he's been murdered," because of course I've played this enough now to know that you are also quite quick to murder someone. So you're a murderer. Why would you be bothered someone else is murdered? You would sort of think, "Oh yeah, somebody killed him. Yeah, all right then. Well, it wasn't me. I killed someone else, not this guy." Yeah. Okay. You pocket the button, realizing that it could be a clue, and start to move back. But in your haste, you trip over a robo-mop, which lets out a protesting whine and brings the two guards rushing in from outside. "He's dead," you gasp, but it wasn't, I mean... "Murderer," says one of the guards. "We've caught you red-handed." They advance on you, whippies at the ready. They are clearly not going to listen to reason. You will have to fight them. From your position behind the reception counter, they can only approach you one at a time, and there is no room for them to use their spiked tails, which is good for me. Okay. So, we have... So it is one at a time, and I have skill 10, stamina 20. They have 6, 8, and 7, 8. So first one, I've got a 4 skill point advantage, so he needs to roll 5 better than me to injure me. So he rolls a 9, I roll 11, excuse me, he's down to 6. 11 and 6, and that is 5. That means that he hits me. 7 and excuse me, 9, 6 and 9, 11 again, and 7. That is a draw. 8 and 4. That is a draw. 8 and 11. That is not a draw. Okay. Second one, I've got a 3 skill point advantage. So he rolls 4, I roll 7. 9 and 7. 6 and 9. And finally, 5 and 7. Okay, so he is also dead. Not murdered, are they? I am resisting arrest, so I suppose it's kind of murder as well, isn't it? During the fight, another human comes downstairs. If you win, turn to 268. I'm still not looking so much at my map now because this is the beginning and I've done this several times now. Oh, that's a nice picture there. I like that. Bravo, cries the man as you switch off your sword. But now we'd better get out of here. Come with me. Will you tell him you'd rather be left alone, or will you go with him? So the question is there any advantage to going with this guy? I know if I go with him, I've got to do this the first time. When I got to the fish and chips, let's just see, where did we go now? So wait. Other house door, sword. I'm just wondering if there are any advantages. I mean, clearly this guy is a rebel, it seems. But the first time I did this, I sort of ended up in the same place that with the with Bellatrix, and I'm just wondering if there is any point. But there was something about some guards were actually, or some Arcadian guards or policemen or something were just hanging out outside, and that wasn't. Yeah, I think I'll not join him actually. I think I'll go my own way again this time. So I'd rather be left alone. So I go to 314. Have it your way, he says, scowling. But since you're armed, I assume that you have some particular reason for being on Tropos. You refuse my help, but you may need help sometime. That's a really weird sentence, actually. Help sometime. May need help sometime. It doesn't flow so well. Anyway, you thank him, but leave alone. Out on the street, you must get away as quickly as possible and find the fish and chips. You know that north heads out of town, so you turn south. As you walk along, you notice that the city is laid out very regularly on a square grid pattern. The hostel is at the north end of North 23rd Street. East North 23, East 5 Street, so that's here. And the next block south starts at the top of North 22, East 5 Street. Hang on, the top of? Am I getting my numbers wrong? Because I mean that it was supposed to be, the hostel is supposed to be here. I mean, no wonder I'm getting a bit confused with the north end of North 23. Ah, yes. Okay, so I've put, oh yeah. East 5 Street. The buildings are all very alike except for the Temple of the Five Suns, which towers above the rest of the city and is a famous landmark. It is the center of the imperial religion on Tropos. The 5 suns being the suns of the planets of the Empire. It must be like that. After wandering along the main roads for quite a way, heading generally south and east, you realize that this is getting you nowhere fast. There is hardly likely to be a signpost saying fish and chips, 3rd block on the left. Rebels and spies welcome. You're also getting tired and hungry. Reduce your stamina by My stamina? I'm going to reduce my stamina by 2 points. So 18. And also I'm going to read my text. Sorry about that. In case it's something important. Yes, reducing my stamina by 2 points. You decide you had better ask the way in a shop, but there are only 2 small shops around. The rest are automated hypermarkets. So the hostel was not automated, but the shops are automated. A little bit inconsistent there. Anyway, would you ask at the grocer's or a hardware shop? Now, if I go to the grocer's, I get to eat a little bit. Did I still get to... Yeah, I did not get to go to the hardware shop after going to the grocer's, though. Did I? Oh, yes, I did. If I went to the hardware shop first, I also go to the grocer's to pick up something to eat on the way. So, I'm going to the hardware shop. The hardware shop is tended by a cheerful South Arcadian. You decide that you had better buy something so that your request for directions will seem less abrupt. You find the items in the shop really old-fashioned. Hardware shops on Earth now stock only robots, and you cannot even imagine a use for some of them. You may buy any of the following, remembering if necessary the limit of 6 items in your pack. A Benello phosphate strobe, which produces an extremely bright wide beam in short bursts, a hand klaxon, a coil of nylon rope, a can of engine oil, or an automated personal massage and manicure robot. I'm going to get the rope. Just the rope. For 50 credits. Okay. 1950. As you hand over your money, the Arcadians' antennae wave and flash, presumably in pleasure. You put your purchases in your anti-grav pack and ask her the way to the fish and chips. Her reply is mysterious. Each is a source of growth and life. Together their consciousness pervades the galaxy. The club that you seek is never eclipsed on its southern side. That sounds like a line from... that sounds almost like a line from the opera Akhenaten by Philip Glass, where you have a sort of a scribe slash narrator slash Akhenaten's father, who does these sort of slightly poetic, quasi-poetic things in between. It sounds like something that could have come from that opera. It's even got eclipses and southern sides. Yep, it sounds like it could be from that. Which, by the way, if you even if you don't like opera, you might actually like that one because it's very different. If you like Philip Glass, yeah, ooh, Akhenaten, amazing opera. Actually, it's I think it's probably the only opera that I like listening to. I do like opera, but I like watching opera because you have to see what's going on, I think, in most of them for the music to make sense, if you know what I mean. Whereas the Philip Glass one, a lot of it is instrumental, and even when they're singing, it's almost like it's instrumental as well. And also some of the lyrics are in languages that deliberately are chosen so you don't understand what the words mean. So it becomes almost like you're using the voice as an instrument as well, even with lyrics. So there is songs in sort of ancient Egyptian, obviously, and Hebrew, and I don't know, Hittite or Akkadian or something like that. And there's only one in English. Yeah. Anyway, yes, Akhenaten, brilliant opera. Right. This is typical of Southern Arcadian communication, though she's probably trying to make it easy for you. If you know what she's talking about, you will be able to guess what paragraph to turn to. Of course, except you wouldn't, would you? Mm. But it's because I think at this point, the writer of this book was perhaps intending to do a little bit more with the town grid map, and for some reason it didn't happen like that. But I'm wondering if I should just presume now that I do know what she's talking about because I've done it so many times now. And I know that the reference that this is uh, telling me to go to is 204. So I'm only skipping one step by doing that, actually. So, but also if I do that, I won't get food, will I? So I'm just going to say I didn't get it. I'm just going to say that, even though it cost me a few credits. I'm sorry I don't understand, you say. Oh, you humans, you are as insensitive as Glumfig. This is a variety of Arcadian snail. I mean that it is just north of the Temple of the Five Suns. Well, I knew that. Idiot. And I almost forgot there's 50% HAT, human added tax, on the items you bought. So, down to 1925. You don't believe her. She is obviously just making you pay for insulting her, but you cannot afford to cross her any further. Cross the right amount of money off your adventure sheet and lose 1 luck point. Seems a bit unfair, but there you go. It's easy to find your way now, as the temple can be seen from the street. If you have not already done so, you pop into the grocer's shop, spending 20 credits on food. There we are. Which replenishes your stamina, not stamina, by 4 points. So I'm up to 20 again. Then turn to 204. So, which is the reference that you are sort of meant to derive from those clues. The fish and chips is in the basement of the former Adolfo Videorama. A neon sign with many bulbs missing still advertises the last feature, a classic science fiction comedy from the 20th century called Star Trek. You go down the steps which lead to the entrance to the club and knock on the door. A human face appears at the peephole. What do you want? It says aggressively. To get in the club, of course, you reply. Who recommended us to you, stranger? Asks the doorman, emphasizing the last word. Or who recommended us to you, stranger? What will you reply? Saros, Bellatrix, the Grand Vizier of Tropos, or no one, I'm from Earth. I've tried most of these now. I've tried Saros, doesn't work. I've tried the Grand Vizier of Tropos, doesn't work. I've tried saying I am human, or no one, I'm from Earth. That works. I still haven't tried Bellatrix. Let's try Bellatrix. Okay, so I'm going to say Bellatrix and go to 240. That doesn't work either. Yeah. Who? Get lost, says the doorman. Will you do as he says, or attempt to smash the locks with your sword? You can smash the locks only if you still have your sword, of course. So again, the only right answer I have now figured out is to say no one, I'm from Earth. Should I try to smash the door this time? Yeah. I'm going to try to smash the door because I have never tried it. This is my last chance because I'm not going to pick any option again ever that will allow me to smash the doors. A few swift strokes gain you entry into the club. For Saros' sake, you shouldn't have done that, whispers the doorman. We cannot put our operation at risk by openly defending such foolish action. He scarpers to make way for the onrush of several Arcadians who had been sitting quietly in the club until you so rashly drew attention to yourself. You will have to fight them all, but because you are backed against the wall at the top of the short flight of stairs inside the club, you can fight them one at a time in this order. Okay. So, again, do not do that. I'll just put obviously. Well, obviously, I just wanted to try. So, right, we got 4, 8, 7, 8, 6, 10, and 8, 12. And I've got 10, 20. So, first one, I've only got a 2 skill point advantage. He rolls an 8. I roll a 10. It's down to 10. He rolls a 7. I roll a 12. He rolls a 9. I roll a 4. He rolls a 6. I roll a 6. He rolls 11. I roll 5. I'm down to 16. He rolls 8. I roll 4. I'm down to 14. He rolls 8. I roll 4 again. I'm down to 12. He rolls 10. I roll 10. He rolls 6. I roll 8. I was wondering if I should use a... No, I'm not going to use a lock point there. He rolls 4. I roll... Okay, so he's dead. Next one, I've got a 4 skill point advantage. 7, 11. 7. 11. 6, 7. 9, 12. And finally, perhaps, 5 and 6. He's gone. Next one, I got a 3 skill point advantage. He rolls 6. I roll 5. That's working fine. He rolls 8. I roll 5. That's a draw. He rolls 11. I roll 8. That's a draw. He rolls 5. I roll 10. He rolls 5. I roll 12. He rolls 8. I roll 6. And that's him gone. Last one, I got a 6 skill point advantage. Would trust me to die from that one. 5, 5, 7, 4, 8, 7. So that's him gone. Okay, so I'm down to 12 stamina. There is more stamina to be regained though in this game, so that's not too bad. Oh, by the way, I forgot to read the next bit. Do you have anything in your pack to help you in this fight? I don't think I bought anything that could help. If you think you do, remember this number to which you will have to return, but meanwhile turn to 198. If you win, turn to 125. I'm just going to check 198 now. Okay, so you actually got some of the things you can buy in the shop could actually perhaps give you an option to get you an advantage in this battle. That's interesting. Okay, so if I win, turn to 125. Okay, so that's just 8, 12, 6, 10, 7, 8, 4, 8. And it is 198, 125. So that is use item and 125 win. Okay, so I won that. Probably a big mistake, but there you go. The doorman reappears by your side. Now will you do as you're told and beat it, he hisses. You've shown how good you are with a sword and all that, but the club will be closed down now, thanks to you. The sound of a patrol approaching at the double can already be heard. Will you insist on staying, perhaps to pretend you were an innocent bystander, or leave? I think leaving is probably a good idea at this moment. Let's see, I'm just going to move my map over here now because there's no room there. So I'm just going to make my map look very creative as usual. So I've got 2 options, leaving or staying. So 184 stay, 252 leave. Okay. So I'm going to leave now. You leap up the steps and are immediately spotted by an Arcadian patrol, who give chase. Test your luck. 9. Okay, I was lucky. Luck goes down to 9. Here's 252. Test luck. And that is 233 lucky, or 330 unlucky. Okay. You dodge and weave through the pedestrians and up and down alleyways. You manage to escape the patrol, but at the cost of 1 stamina point. 11. Eventually, when all seems safe, you slump down in a doorway. After a while, you realize that you can only go back to the hostel and try again tomorrow, so you start to get up. But at that moment, the door behind you opens, and rough hands grab hold of you. Will you attempt to put up a fight? Or are you too weak and depressed to bother? Now, this mirrors one that I saw before. And of course, the options now are taking me to... let's put a green line here. Oh, the green one isn't that good, actually. Green line over here. These are the options you get when you actually leave as you're told. Am I going to put up a fight? Probably not. I'll just have a quick look and see what happens, though. Seeing as I probably won't... Yeah, you just lose more stamina. So I'm going to 272. Your captors are human. They blindfold you and lead you down into the cellar, where, to your surprise, a draft indicates the presence of a corridor. But that is your last impression for a while. A heavy blow to your head knocks you unconscious. Turn to 207. And we are back on the map now over here. So you don't deviate much from it if you do something stupid over here, but... You slowly climb back to consciousness. The first thing you are aware of is a splitting headache. Deduct 2 stamina points, down to 9. 3 if you have not eaten today. I have eaten. I did get some food at the grocer's, if you remember. The second thing is that even when you open your eyes, it's still pitch black. Once you have realized that you are not blind, but that wherever you are is in darkness, you clamber to your feet. Immediately, a bright light stabs your eyeballs. You instinctively cover your face with your arm. Behind the light, you can just make out 3 human shapes, 2 standing on either side of the third, who is seated at the table. A woman, who is apparently the one seated, addresses you. You seem to know something of our business. That could mean one of 2 things. Either, I should say either now because I said either before, just to be consistent. Either you're an Acadian spy, or you are one of us from Earth. If the latter is the case, I apologize for the rough treatment you have received from us, but you will understand why this was necessary. Now explain yourself. I'm looking for Bellatrix, you begin. Ah, so you know my code name, she says. That in itself doesn't prove a thing. We may have been infiltrated. This is a tricky situation. They are not convinced that you are from Saros. But are you entirely sure that they are rebels? Will you try to convince them that you are who you say you are, or ask for proof of their identity? I'm going to convince them. 168. You take the plunge. Surely they must be the underground. You tell them everything about your mission, and even drop the names of 1 or 2 people back on Earth who they might know of, to make your story more plausible. Once you have finished, the 3 humans huddle together. This is a good sign. If they were traitors, they would have finished with you by now. Well, so you think. I don't suppose you don't get finished off by traitors very often, so you wouldn't really know for sure, would you? At last they separate. Bellatrix speaks again. Very good. You seem to know more about this mission than any Arcadian spy would know. There is just one last thing we want you to do. The barman at the fish and chips is a double agent. Return there and kill him. Do you agree or not? I won't agree to that because that is an end paragraph because you have failed the test, which is that you will not kill anyone without proof. Except to steal a grenade, of course. Why are you hesitating? Asks Bellatrix. Would you say that you know he's not a double agent, or that you need more proof? I need more proof. Ah, a sense of justice. Well, a faked sense of justice. That tips the balance in his favor, don't you think? Bellatrix asks the other two. They agree. Besides, as one of the men points out, you know so little about your inquisitors that even if you were a spy, the information you could pass on would cause only a temporary halt to the rebel operations. All right, says Bellatrix. I'll tell you what I know. It's not much after all your efforts, I'm afraid. Rumor has it that the northern Arcadians made up a marching song to help them remember a sequence of 3 of the digits. I don't know what they are, however, or where this sequence comes in the whole series of digits, but here's the song for what it's worth. And I do apologize now, some terrible poetry coming up. Oh, mortal combat is such joy. No messing about, no subtle ploy. Empire of Arcadian, Empire of Arcadian. Onward, ever onward. Open-pitched battles make me high. Never mind the odds, let's do or die. Evermore Arcadian, Empire of Arcadian. Yes, absolutely horrible. Sorry about that. Why is it that when people put poetry in game books, it's always bad poetry? If you don't know how to write good poetry, don't do it. Don't put it in the book. Anyway, yeah, that goes for Ian Livingstone as well. Sorry, I have to say it. Right. So obviously this is a sort of a kindergarten nursery kind of code which tells us that the 3 digits we're looking for is 101. Because those are if you just read the initial letters of the lines, 101 is the clue. So 101. There we are. That's all you can get from Bellatrix, so the information from the other 2 planets is absolutely crucial. All your equipment is returned to you. You are pleased by their generosity and trust in replacing your sword if you had lost it. Restore 2 lock points. Needed those. Back to full. For the information and equipment. They also have a vial of Quanda root lotion, which will heal 4 stamina points of wounds, but you have to buy it. Okay, so I'm going to buy that to get up to only 13 actually. So I am 50, so I'm at 1855. Okay, 1855. Do so if you want, then turn to 25. You are escorted through a maze of underground tunnels back to the hostel, where the guard has been trebled since you were last there. You sleep deeply, restore 2 stamina points, up to 15, so you do get quite a lot of stamina back in this game. The next morning you return to the spaceport, turn to 213. Now it looks like it's very hard to actually fail the first planet because so many paths lead you to the same choke point where you get the information you need. So it's easing you in. And I actually quite like that about the structure of the game book now, that you are given sort of a free pass almost on the first planet, and then you are moving on to the next one. Right. Yes, when you arrive at the spaceport, you find that there are a great many Arcadian guards mingling with the crowds. If you let an Arcadian escape in Grosset Street, that's if you follow the guy from the hostel who's called Gross. And then there's a potential altercation with a guard there that you can either let escape or you can follow him. So if you let an Arcadian escape in Gross's Street, turn to 200. If not, turn to 318. So I did not let an Arcadian escape there. The patrolling Arcadians scarcely give you a second glance. Before you reach customs, the next checkpoint, do you want to get rid of any of your equipment? No. If so, you find a safe spot in the human's washroom to do so. Whether or not you dumped any equipment, turn to 33. At customs, you tell the Southern Arcadian duty officer that you are a merchant bound for Radix, and she crosses your name off the register of off-planet humans on Tropos. Then she orders you to hand over your pack. You do so, and are dismayed to find that the pack will be looked through not by this Southern Arcadian, who is likely to be more easygoing, but by a hatchet-faced Central Arcadian whose multicolored crest shows that he belongs to a high military rank. Most of your equipment is harmless enough to pass the inspection, but do you still have either or both of a coil of rope and an infrared scanner? I don't know where I would get the infrared scanner. Maybe that is something that is possible to get through... there might still be something, some path I've missed here, actually, that might give me something. Maybe the scanner is something that will be useful later. I don't know. If you have both, turn to 210. If you have one of these, I do have the rope, turn to 339. And the reason I picked the rope, of course, in the shop is because it is mentioned here, and I know that that probably means it might be useful. So that's why I went for the rope. You manage to persuade him that the item is harmless. Well, it's rope. Turn to 374. Without further ado, you board your spaceship, which is loaded up and ready to go. You instruct the computer to switch to its pre-programmed route from Tropos to Radix. There are no problems on blastoff. Excuse me. And you relax for the first time for hours, or in hours, possibly, as Tropos dwindles on your rear-view screen. But what lies ahead of you on Radix? Both advantages and disadvantages, as far as you can see. On the one hand, Tropos is such a backward planet, both culturally and technologically, that you are likely to feel more at home on Radix. On the other hand, you don't know even the codename of the underground leader on Radix, and it is now more crucial than ever that you learn what he or she has to tell you. Moreover, you know that Southerners are the most dominant Arcadian species on Radix, attracted there by the corruption and freedom. This too has its good and its bad points. Southern Arcadians can be more tolerant than the others, but they are more difficult to communicate with. During your journey to Radix, you may restore half as many stamina points as your current stamina score, rounding odd numbers down. So that means I actually get up to max. So it's very generous, the stamina regain here. Turn to 47. Customs is no problem on Radix. They are so delighted to have the Zeridium that you are welcomed by the resident Arcadians as much as any Arcadian is capable of welcoming any human. It seems that your load of Zeridium was needed to complete a parascientific project of theirs. You find that you have 2 full days, it is now early morning, until you must leave for Halmuris. Once you have registered, you make your way out of the spaceport, which is so highly mechanized that even a terrestrial like yourself feels strange. The inhabitants do not believe in doing any work unless they really have to. There are robots everywhere, some of them sophisticated, state-of-the-art models that can almost think for themselves. Just almost. Interesting. So much for AI. Moving pavements crisscross the spaceport, which actually make you impatient because they move slowly enough to allow stepping from one to another, yet you feel decidedly springy on this planet, as the gravity is slightly less than on Earth. You soon discover, however, that this does not in fact help you to move any more quickly, since you need some practice to achieve the correct coordination. Now, by the way, I was thinking about this earlier because it tells you in the beginning that you engage your gravidrags on your spaceship to create the artificial gravity on Earth. Wouldn't it also be possible, if you do that, to create any kind of gravity so that you may want to adjust gradually, for instance, to where you're going? So let's say you have a journey of something like 2 months to get from one planet to the next, which probably is a really short time, by the way. And over those 2 months, your gravity then gradually changes from what you're used to on Earth to what it is on the new planet. So by the time you get to the new planet, you've actually acclimatized to the new gravity. Wouldn't that make a lot of sense? Just putting it out there. Okay. The personal monorail system is all you could have hoped for, and you are soon gliding smoothly, but at speed, towards the only major town on the planet, where the underground must be located. On the way, you call up onto the screen a list of hotels where humans can stay. Only 2 names sound attractive. One which has gained 3 stars from the Rhodesian quality assessors, and one which they haven't bothered to comment on at all. Why would that sound attractive then? Would you stay at the Zodiac or at Porcus Palace? Right. I've always stayed at the Zodiac, which is the expensive option, $375 a night, and Porcus Palace. I'm going to stay at Porcus Palace this time. Let's see. Ooh, this map is now out of the way. There we are. Radix is my current location there. I know that if I go to the fancy hotel, I mean, I get a good meal. I'll probably get a meal in the other one as well. I get a clue that maybe the underground has something to do with university. But I'm going to go to Porky's now. So I'm going to go to 101. On the way to the hotel, you notice something odd about the city. In some streets, whole houses have been demolished, even though the surrounding houses are still standing. It is as if a localized earthquake had struck. You soon arrive at the hotel. Porky, who's sitting on the steps outside, has certainly earned his nickname. He is very fat, or as we say today, he's obese, I guess. You check into your room for one night, deduct 50 credits. Oops. So I'll go from 1855 to 1805. And just a little 1855 trivia for you, by the way. The first postage stamp in the world was, of course, Britain in 1840, a sort of prepaid postage adhesive or stamp, not self-adhesive, I would imagine. But the first Norwegian one was in 1855. And the princely sum of 4 shillings. I don't know what you could pay for 4 shillings in those days, but I imagine it would be quite a lot more than you get for 4 shillings today. Especially considering how, well, actually you don't use shillings in Norway these days, it's been a while. But yeah, 4 shillings. And it had at the time the royal coat of arms of Norway on it, was the design that was on that stamp. And it was blue. Didn't start with the black one because, yeah, that's not a good idea. Anyway, right. I'm getting sidetracked. Well, I know that some of you like the anecdotes, so, and I like telling the anecdotes. I like getting sidetracked. It makes it more enjoyable for me when I go off on a tangent and I just sort of talk about something that is related to the book, but isn't just the book, because I think for me that's one of the things that make it fun to read these books out loud as well, and to make these videos. Right. Yes, he's very fat. Let's see. Deduct 50 credits. Shower, change, and eat a snack. Restore 2 stamina points. So even more stamina if I needed it. So we got minus 50 credits and plus 2 stamina. Now you feel ready to tackle the problems facing you. You decide to start by questioning Porky. Will you ask him about radix in general, or ask him to explain the phenomenon of the demolished houses? So let's just do 2 paragraphs off there. So we are 77 or 306. So I sort of know what the houses are about now because I met the robot that did it last time. I'm going to ask about radix in general, first of all. Oh, is that him? That's Porky there. Porky is out on the steps, sunning himself and admiring his jewels. He is adorned with rings, bracelets, and a pair of earrings. You sit down and chat with him. Let's see, and also I can straighten my book a little bit. Okay. Exchanging views about conditions on Earth and on Radix. He tells you that in some ways life on Radix has not been altered by the Empire because the economy has been fixed so that humans can live in the style to which they were accustomed. Nevertheless, of course, there is some resentment at the lack of freedom, which is supported fairly openly by the students and staff of the university. They are not very successful, however, since they are concerned with abstract freedom, while the ordinary people of Radix just want an end to having to work for the Arcadians, and a return to the system where robots did all the work for humans. As it is, both humans and robots serve Arcadians, for the most part. While you talk to Porky, you find yourself changing your opinion of the Rhodesian humans, and the corruption and sloth for which they are famed throughout the galaxy is just a weird sign of their devotion to an ideal of self-sufficiency. You realize that human nature does indeed adapt itself to circumstances on different planets, and that therefore humans born and bred on other planets can be almost as alien as Arcadians or other species. The discipline of Tropos and the devotion of Radix are the result of living on those planets. Your conversation with Porky has been most worthwhile and should enable you not to misjudge people you come across on this planet. Gain 1 luck point, which I can't really get now, I suppose, plus 1 luck because my luck is maxed out. You decide that your best bet is to visit university next, so you take your leave. The monorail takes you near the main entrance. Will you plunge straight in or wait around outside for a while? So this is where I've been before, actually. If I go, it is here, 146 or 178. So I am going to, let's go like so, 146 or 178. Seems to be the best option then is to go to Porky's rather than to the plush hotel. Now, I have tried different things now. If I wait, I can sort of end up in the where I steal the grenade. If I go straight in, I didn't manage to find the right place. I'm going to wait again, or maybe I might end up being a murderer again, but I will wait and see what happens now. So this is a really nice. Oh, I really like this illustration there, by the way. That is beautiful, beautiful science fiction illustration from the 80s. Absolutely gorgeous. Those lines. Oof. The buildings, even here on the outskirts of the city, are impressive. The architects have taken full advantage of the low gravity of the planet, and vast towers and arches soar gracefully into the sky. The color of the local stone is very pale blue, but different colored synthetic materials are also used and look very attractive. Near the university is the Archaeology Museum, which you decide to visit, having heard that it is rather interesting. The museum consists of a single large room with showcases around the walls and 2 rows of exhibits down the center of the room. There is a closed door at the other end of the room. Somebody is using the word room too much there, I think. At the entrance, there is an armed South Arcadian watchman who calls you over, but it seems he only wants to pass at the time of day. So this is a nice guy, isn't he? There's a radium mine in the desert, he says. Yes, I noticed that there aren't many visitors, you reply correctly. He nods, as if his next remark follows logically. As it is written in the Book of the Five Sons, contact costs nothing. If there is cost, it is not pure contact. Will you reply, no thanks, I'll browse around myself, or it's nice to see someone taking his job seriously? So, I'm going to say, no thanks, I'll browse around myself, because he's offering to show me around, obviously. You have interpreted his remark correctly as an offer to show you around, which you want to refuse. The archaeological exhibits are fascinating. It seems that there was a civilization on Radix before the human colonists arrived in the 22nd century, which utterly destroyed all its major centers early in the 21st century in an all-out fascism war. Yeah, human beings aren't that nice, are they? Fascism bombs leave no traces, but a number of objects from scattered outposts survived. Archaeologists have even pieced together evidence that suggests that these earlier editions used to send saucer-shaped scouts around the galaxy. Flying saucers. What do you know? Spend an enjoyable time looking around. When you have finished, will you ask the watchman what is through the other door, or do you feel that you have spent enough time on this and that now you should go to the university? Turn to 146. Interesting how you actually now offered to go back to 146, which is the same as going straight into university. I'm still a bit keen to see if I can get away with the grenade, actually, to be honest. So I'm going to go to 356. It tells you that it leads to the cellars where the museum stores all the artifacts it has no room to display, and it offers to show you around. Will you accept or go to 146? So I'm going to accept. He unlocks the door, and you both go down some stairs into the dusty cellars, which are full of objects in packing cases, showcases, or just loose. You look around the first cellar for a while and then stifle an excited cry. There, in the showcase marked Purpose Unknown, possibly religious artifacts, is something which you, with your training in weaponry, recognize as a primitive baryon grenade, and it looks undamaged. You must have it, even though it means fighting the friendly watchman. Your voices in your head have told you. You must kill the watchman, must have a grenade. Yeah, no choices here. You just have to go and do it. So, this is the one where you suddenly turn into a monster. Resolve your fight. Watchman 7, 8, and I have got 10, 20. So, 7, 8. So I've got 3 skill point advantage. He rolls 6. I roll 6. He's down to 6. 6, 5, 4, 6, and finally 7, 8. Don't really need to write so much in these ones sometimes. If you win, you can take the grenade. Well, I suppose I'll have to now, won't I? Because I just killed Soreide. Baryon grenade. I'm very disappointed, actually, in my character at this point. But I'm a bit curious now. Basically, of course, I'm saving my game now because there's no point in me going into this labyrinth, the maze that I'm getting into now, and then dying. When I get to this point, I will continue until I've got all the way through. So, Now there's going to be a little meta game when I'm trying to race away from other guards inside a little maze. So, in your dusty and disheveled state... Why dusty and disheveled? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, you judge it unwise to return to the main museum. Perhaps there is a way out of these cellars. You search the body. Could you just... If you are dusty and disheveled, you dust yourself off and you take your comb and you comb your hair, for those who have hair, and you look like you... Yeah, or if you are dusty and disheveled and you go into a museum, then people will say, oh, you look a bit dusty and disheveled, you shouldn't be here. No, they don't. It's a museum, for crying out loud. It's not a fancy bar. Anyway. Before you can search the body any further, however, the watchman's comlink beeps and an Arcadian voice comes through, asking where he is. Now the search will be on. The cellar you are in has 2 corridors leading off its east wall. Behind you is the staircase up to the main museum. Would you take the left-hand passage or the right-hand one? So this is where I actually decided to branch out and create a new map, because it looks like it might be a little bit roundabout, because you can go back and forth and stuff, and there are, yeah, dead ends. Last time I went right. This time I'll go left. I go to 127. You scrape your leg against the packing case and cut it badly on a projecting nail. Lose 1 stamina point. Minus 1 stamina. Okay, that's alright. I've saved my game now, by the way. I will get out of this maze alive, even though I may have died along the way. So, yeah. The passage leads into another cellar, which with one exit through straight ahead and another in the southern wall. Will you go straight ahead or south? So we've got straight ahead or south. So why south? I mean, yeah, I mean, you suddenly first you do left and right, and then suddenly you swap to cardinal directions. It's a bit inconsistent. Anyway, so 3, 3, 3 straight ahead or southern wall 2, 2, 1. I'm going to go straight ahead 3, 3, 3. You are walking along a dusty passage. Cobwebs brush your face. This sounds like in the good old-fashioned 80s adventure game, doesn't it? Maybe I should do a light lantern. Cobwebs brush your face. The red eyes and streamlined form of some Rhodesian rodent show up briefly in the dim light. Some way along another passage branches off to the north. Will you continue straight ahead or turn north? So we have north or straight ahead. 3, 4, 6, or north. 2, 7, 7 north. Oh, I see. Oh, hang on. 3, 3, 3 is over here as well. Oh, this is getting more convoluted than I thought it would be. Okay, so 3, 3, 3 is there, which means that this one goes up there. 2, 7, 7 is there. But then I also got 3, 4, 6, which is interesting. 3, 4, 6 there. Okay, so I'll cross out these ones now. So the plot thickens, I guess. So 3, 4, 6 leads to something I haven't been to. So I'm going to try 3, 4, 6 then. The corridor, which is lined with packing cases and other museum objects, gradually curves round to the right. Until you are heading west instead of east. There is a passage heading south, turn to 62, or you can continue straight on, turn to 8. I'm going to go to 62. Now, this is a maze because you can certainly walk around here by the looks of it. The corridor bends round to the west until it joins another corridor where you may head south, from where you can hear the eerie sound of water dripping in the dust-muffled silence. Or north, turn to 23. So south is 154. That's very close to where it ended. Or I can turn north 23, which I don't have on my map yet. Oh, yes, I've got it up there. So that's up there. This is a really messy maze. I should try to actually make this make sort of geographical, topological sense one of these days, but at the moment I'm just going to do the flowchart style. 23 north. It is too late. The search party is upon you. Your mission ends here. Okay, so that is an end. And since I'm saving my game, I'm going to have to go the other way in that case. Let's see if that works. 154. You find yourself in a washroom. Nice picture there as well. That's not the washroom, obviously. And it has a hatch out onto the street. The hatch is locked. However, and the search party is right behind you. Roll one die. If the number is 7, no, if the number is even, turn to 166. If it is odd, turn to 50. And if it's even, you die. So, yeah. So I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. Okay. Odd. So that is turned to 50. You quickly find the right key among the watchman's bunch and climb up into the side street. From here you can lose yourself in the university. Turn to 146. So that leads to 146 and safety. But you got a 50% chance of dying right there. Is there any other way out, I wonder? So I'm going to have a look here. 221 leads to 186 or 324. 324. I'll just check now while I'm here. 186. You're walking along a dusty corridor. Statue. Okay. South 384. Straight 254. Okay, so these are new ones. So that's 384. 254 minus 1 luck, by the way. Let's check out 324. Sorry, this is just doing some. 324 is the end. 254. Maybe there is only one way out, actually, but that is really high risk if that is the case. And so 254 goes to 69, no, 62. So it goes to 62 or 39. 39. 39. 39 goes to 277 or 23. Okay, so 277 is up there, or 23 is there as well. Okay, so 23. Okay, so that means that the only exit maybe, oh hang on, there's one I haven't checked yet. 221. 186 or 324. Okay, so that means the only way out here, once you steal the barrier grenade, you have a 50% chance of dying, because the only way out is getting through that window if you find the right key with 50% odds, and that means that it's probably not worth it at all. Right. So that is the little maze there, which is really convoluted. Let's go back to the real world and university. 146. Okay. Yeah, let's see. 146. The university, which is only for humans, is a small affair these days, occupying a single large building on the outskirts of the city. Arcadian guards are everywhere since they have to make their presence felt in this hotbed of possible rebellion. Will you go to the science floor or to the arts floor? Right, so science or arts? When I've done this last time, it looked like going to the science floor. There. Also, there was sort of a hidden location here as well if you had an appointment with someone. I've not been able to create an appointment with anyone yet, so I don't know what that is about. But let's go to the arts floor. 258. Do you have an introduction to anyone here? If so, turn to the paragraph which has the same number as the room you need. Otherwise, turn to 76. So I don't have that introduction, and I still don't know how to get it. There is really not a lot you can achieve here. Will you wait for a bit anyway, go down to the science floor, or leave the university? I suppose I'll just wait for a bit anyway. After a while, the corridors quieten down as most of the students go off to lectures. Then one student approaches the notice board and rather furtively pins up a poster. You just have time to see that it announces some kind of demonstration when the young man is thrown to the floor by two others and his poster is ripped from the wall. The two louts then proceed to beat him up. You're not going to stand for that kind of behavior. You will fight both the louts simultaneously in unarmed combat. Each attack round, choose which of them you will fight and conduct a normal attack round against him. Against the other, roll for attack strength as usual, etc., etc. That's a standard, attacking more than one opponent at the same time. This is not a fight to the death. If your stamina is reduced to 4, the fight is over and your opponents run away. You, for your part, take care to knock them out and not kill them, since they are only students. The sudden death rule of unarmed combat, or reduction of your opponent's stamina to 0, will count for unconsciousness rather than death. So, and there was a way to an unarmed combat you were actually particularly trained in that. So let's double check the rules now. Unarmed combat. So every time you have a successful attack roll, you roll. If you roll a 6 on one die, then you are rendering your opponent either killed or unconscious. Actually, it sounds like you're much better at fighting without weapons then. So maybe you should fight without your sword all the time. Right. So, fighting the louts. So we got a 6-8 and a 5-6. So I will start by incapacitating the 5-6. When you're fighting more than one opponent, the general strategy is to take out the weakest one first, since they both do equal amount of damage. Of course, in a more complicated game, you often want to take out the ones who do the most damage first. Got a drink as well now, by the way. Not tea, but Coke, because I just had my lunch. I had a little break from recording. Had my lunch, had a Coke with my lunch, and I almost forgot to drink it at all. So most of it is still left. So I can't have tea just yet, unfortunately. My apologies. Right, so so I'm going to attack the second one. So I'm going to roll for him first, and then I'm going to roll for the other one to see if he manages to injure me. So I've got a 5 skill point advantage on the first one. He rolls a 7, I roll a 10, so that's a hit. And I roll to see if I get a 6, and I don't get a 6, so he is down to 4. The other one rolls a 10, I roll a 3, so he actually hits me. And I got 19, so I got 17 stamina left. So the second one is rolling a 6, I roll a 6. So that means I hit him, and I roll for my unarmed combat skill thing. No. And the first one rolls 9, I roll 12. So he doesn't injure me, but I don't injure him. Second one rolls 5, I roll 7. And I roll 1 die, and I don't get my special martial arts attack in. The second one, or the first one rather, rolls 7, I roll 8. So he doesn't injure me. And now, on the next combat round, I am attacking the first lout. 4 skill point advantage. He rolls a 9, I roll 4. I'm down to 15 stamina. He rolls 6, I roll 6, I roll 3. So still no pressure point attack. He rolls 12 rather. I roll 4. That's a terrible rolling there. He rolls 8, I roll 5, so that's me hitting him, and I roll a 6, which means he is then knocked unconscious right away. Okay, so that is, let's see, this was on 2, 4, 4. Let's put in the fight here is not on my map, so we got 6, 8, 5, 6. And I win, and I go to 3, 3, 7. The young man you rescued takes you to the students' bar and buys you some drink and food. Restore 3 stamina points. So I'm up to 16. You join some friends of his at the table. "Hey, you lot," exclaims the young man. "This earthling here just gave a couple of black eyes. Black eyes." When the inevitable questions have died down, you ask who the Black Eyes are, and learn that they are a pro-Arcadian political group. The students are planning a demonstration against the personal files that the university's secretary keeps about every member of the university. But the Black Eyes agree with the system. Eventually, you take your leave. Will you go to the science floor if you haven't been there already? Turn to 266. The university secretary's office. Or will you leave the university? Okay, so this is where I've actually got a path I haven't taken before, and that's to go to the secretary's office. So that's where I will go. 214. You had imagined a human secretary. Excuse me. Ooh, sorry about that. You had imagined a human secretary, but find a burly South Arcadian. Of course, and the Arcadians would want to keep an eye on the files. He looks at you in surprise. You do not exactly look like an ordinary student. "Can I help you?" he asks, but his antennae are waving alarmingly. Would you fight him so that you can investigate the files, or consider that they are probably not worth the bother? 58. 58, not worth bother. They are worth the bother because the files are going to tell me who is part of the underground, who are the actual head honcho rebels on Radix, maybe. So I am going to have to fight this guy, and I'm surprised I even get an option, because with the Baryon grenade, it was just, "Oh, I have to kill you now," whereas now I'm saying, "Oh, I'm not worth the bother." Yeah, okay, let's be consistent, let's kill him. So I'm going to turn to 107. But why is fighting the only option here? I mean, surely I mean, you're supposed to be a secret agent. You should have learned some basic means of trying to convince others of doing something that they don't want, but you want. So if you want to see the files, you can try to come up with a good excuse for why you want to see the files. Why is the only option either leave it, and sometimes not even that, or fighting? I don't like that about this book. Sorry about that, but it's because of this is not a high fantasy setting where fighting is sort of considered the basic option. This is a science fiction setting. These are more advanced culturally, you would think, people. But yeah, no. Okay. The Arcadian is unprepared for such an assault. Well, of course, why would he be prepared for that? On this planet, they are not used to be coping with violent rebels, so he is unarmed. Being armed, you may add 1 skill point for this fight only. You can use the rules for unarmed combat if you prefer. Well, they're always better, so yeah, there we go. So, and there's a test of luck if I win. So 7, 8, and then test luck. Okay, so which means if you are not lucky, I presume some other people may have been alerted to the fact that there was a bit of a scuffle. So 15 lucky and unlucky. Okay, so so I got a 4 skill point advantage. I'm going to use unarmed combat rules, so I get the chance of knocking him unconscious. And he's now got. So, well, basically then with 1 skill point advantage, he's got an effective skill of 6 and a stamina of 8. So he rolls 4, I roll 10, and I'll see if I roll a 6. Nope. He's down to 6. He rolls a 2, I roll a 5, I roll a 4. He seems very unprepared for fighting. He rolls a 9, more prepared now. I roll a 7, and then I roll a 6, and then he is knocked unconscious. Or, yeah. Then I test for luck. My luck is 11. I roll 9. My luck goes down to 10. And I go to paragraph 15. See, now that makes more sense. Remember in the maze earlier, it would have made more sense at the end of it that instead of having to roll odd or even, that you tested your luck. It's just usually more polite way of doing it, I think, in a fighting fantasy game book. So, right. Fortunately, the corridor outside is deserted. The students are at their lectures and no guard passes by to hear the noise. Turn to 66. Okay. 66. You soon find a rack. That's a nice picture again there. You soon find a rack of computer disks marked university records. You're only interested in the 2 current ones and discard the rest. Will you look through them now or take them away with you? Right, that is an interesting option there. If we look at them now, I suppose there is a chance that someone will discover me. If I take them away with me, there is a chance I'm going to miss my time window for doing something. So both are so away or now. I'm going to look at them right away. But I will keep a finger there. I'll keep a bookmark. I'll keep a save game there in case that is the wrong decision. And yes, because this is an insta-death, as I suspected. After a while, you hit the jackpot. A section of the file is devoted to activists, potential and actual. You are so engrossed in the details that you do not hear the approaching guards until it is too late. And it doesn't even say the end or anything like that. But that is an end point. So I'm going to look at them later. And the 2 discs count as a single item in your pack. So we got 2 discs. If you already have a limit of 6 items, etc., etc. Now you must find a computer. You leave the university before your crime is discovered. Go to 235, and that is over here. 235. Oh, that wasn't meant to be read, but there you go. Leave. Okay, so now I need a computer. You decide to go back to your hotel. If you had a spot of bother with the chief of police at the Zodiac earlier today, you have decided to go to Porcus Palace instead. On the monorail ride, you have the impression that you are being followed. There is a cab behind you, but then there always is on an efficient monorail system. Will you pull into the next drop station and get off, or will you carry on to your hotel, thinking you'll be as safe there as anywhere? Last time I went off at the station, and then I bumped into this guy against whom I would need to use the baryon grenade. Yes, there was one point, actually I can see it now on the map. There was a point where it says computer question mark here, which means that's where I have the option of using the computer. So I think that was the right thing to do. So I'm going to go to 162 now. I'm going to get off the monorail right here. Oh, another nice picture there. You get off and jump onto the escalator to street level. Looking up behind you, you can see two Arcadians still coming after you and talking into their comlinks. Once on the street, you duck down the first side street you come to. Test your luck. I rolled 4. My luck is down to 9. I was lucky. If you're lucky, turn to 183. So there we are, 183. You lose yourself in the shadows. Or they lose me in the shadows. I don't think I lose myself, really, technically. Hardly daring to breathe, and your pursuers pass by on the main moving pavement. You follow the twists and turns of the side streets, always keeping the overhead monorail in sight to guide you in the right direction for your hotel. Turn to 285. You're getting quite close to your hotel when you see ahead something large moving towards you. You wait until you can see it clearly. Oh no! The glinting body of a robot killer is trundling towards you on hidden wheels. It's just like a metal cylinder. So they got hover taxis, but your killer robots are on wheels. What's wrong with this picture? I'm just asking. Okay. It is just like a metal cylinder with only one feature breaking the pitiless monotony of its structure, an aerial on top. It has no humanoid features, no arms, no legs, no face, nothing that looks familiar or that you can understand. You haven't the faintest idea of how it will attack, or therefore how you should defend yourself against it. You know that your blows will have some effect on the soft metal of this planet, but it looks as though it has been built to withstand many such attacks. You need some way to shorten the fight. The robot's first attack comes without warning. A gigantic thump strikes the ground, sending you tumbling and making roof tiles and small bits of masonry hurtle down from the buildings all around you. You have no idea how the robot causes the thump, but if you have been told about the Street Fighter, you know that it has been aptly named. If you have a baryon grenade, turn to 388. If not, turn to 190. And this is where I have a baryon grenade, even though it is obviously a priceless antique, possibly a religious item, and something you're willing to die for. You're also willing to just use it, just like that, just on a dumb robot. Right. You toss the ancient grenade. Oh, I just got a Monty Python flashback there. The holy hand grenade. Take the holy hand grenade, remove the holy pin, and lobbest thou the holy hand grenade on thine enemies, so that they might snuff it. Amen. Something like that. You toss the ancient grenade towards the mechanical monster. Test your luck. 7. Yeah, still lucky. I'm using quite a bit of luck here now, though, so my luck is going to run out at this pace. Let's see. So we were at burying grenade test. Luck. Have to make sure I update my map now. And that leaves us with 2 options. 63 lucky or 352 unlucky. Okay, so I'm going to 63. The grenade explodes, destroying the killer robot. You are free to make your way back to the hotel. That was quite quick and easy, wasn't it? Okay, so okay, I suppose that might have been worth killing for-ish. You reach the haven of your hotel. If it is Porcus Palace and you have not been here before, pay 50 credits for the night. If you need to find a computer, turn to 158, otherwise turn to 134. And this is where, last time, of course, I didn't have the need to find a computer because I didn't have any disks. And so that was pretty much the end of it. So I'm now going to find a computer and go to 158. And this is where it will get exciting, maybe. If you are at Porcus Palace, turn to 3. If you are at the Zodiac, turn to 31. Maybe they have a better computer at the Zodiac. Maybe this is when I should have been at the Zodiac. Interesting. Okay, so 3 Porkies and 31 Zodiac. So the Zodiac would have the latest computer system, of course, and what do you think? Zodiac would have an Apple and Porcus would have a PC. And they're not compatible. Let's find out. Porky's computer is his pride and joy. You will have to offer him something, a personal massage robot if you have it, otherwise 400 credits will do. Although the massage robot did cost more than 400 credits. If you do not have the robot or the money, or if you do not want to pay him, you will have to fight him in unarmed combat. That's a lot of stuff in one paragraph. That should have been split up into several paragraphs, actually, because now you can actually weigh up. Yeah, and it even tells you that if you win the fight, or if you pay the price, the outcome is exactly the same. So there doesn't seem to be any penalty for killing him. Or maybe you get to a paragraph later where it said, "Did you kill Porky?" Well, I am a monster, but I'm not that much of a monster, and he's a nice guy, and he's human. So I'm going to pay the 400. I presume that if you were on the Zodiac, it would be included in the price, but that cost how much now? 375. So you might actually be saving a little bit of money by going to the Zodiac, potentially. So, and interestingly, right. So I paid the money, and I would have won the fight. I mean, clearly. I don't want to do it. I don't want to kill him. Okay. So 400 GP asterisk, because there are other options, brackets 610, and then we move on to 119. 119. Okay, let's see. 119. It doesn't take long to find the information you are looking for. A certain Professor Zacharias in the history department of the arts faculty is on record as possibly being the rebel leader on Radix. You make a printout of this information. If you killed Porky to get this information, now this is where it gets hairy, of course. Turn to 209, otherwise turn to 74. Okay, so 209 killed question mark, or 74. No, I didn't kill him. I'm going to 74. You ring Professor Zacharias at work, no reply. But you find his home number in the directory, the phone directory. Yeah, 80s science fiction. And ring him there. He has heard about the theft of the discs, and you identify yourself by showing him the printout of his file. He is satisfied that you are who you say you are, and you make an appointment for 11 o'clock the next morning. Ah, no, this is the first appointment I've ever got to make, actually. And they keep asking me about appointments in this game, but now I made an appointment. In his room at university, gain 1 luck point. Okay, so luck, I'm running out low on luck, so that's good. I get a bit of luck. And turn to 134. Okay, so 1, 3, 4, and this does seem like a good thing, actually. There we are. And plus 1 luck as well. Mustn't forget, plus 1 luck. 1, 3, 4. Gain 4 stamina points for a fine dinner in Porcus. Okay. Yeah, that brings me back up to 17. And a good night's rest. If you have an appointment to keep in the morning, turn to 376. Was there a 376 before? No, doesn't seem to be. So 376 appointment. Otherwise, turn to 317. 317 is one of the end paragraphs there. Oh, hang on. 134. I already got a... Oh, I got this already on my map now. So I'll just scratch out that. Plus 4 stamina. So that goes up there. And I can remove those. Okay. So 376 appointment. So this is, at the moment, right now, this is the furthest I've got in this book. Although I did have to use some save games, fingers / bookmarks. Okay. That's a very nice picture again, by the way. Although interestingly, of course, because most of the pictures in this book, they use perspective, and this looks like it's isometric. Almost. Or the perspective is so... Yeah. Anyway, it's a very nice picture. Promptly at 11 o'clock, you knock on Professor Zacharias' door, but there is no reply. You wait for several minutes, but he doesn't turn up. A passing student tells you why. He has been arrested as the leader of the underground on Radix. The arrest took place about half an hour ago. He knew you were coming. Maybe he had time to leave you a clue, in case you were the agent from Earth that he was expecting. You go into the room to see. It is very untidy. There are manuscripts and history books everywhere. Academics still use books, since it is easier to find particular passages for reference on a page than on a screen. It is indeed. Books are still great. Come on. You concentrate on the desk. Look at the picture opposite to see whether you can... Oh, I just had a... Actually, this is really weird because I get this sometimes. I just had a deja vu there when I was reading this and when I was making that comment to you, and I'm seeing this picture. I've got a deja vu, a sort of feeling of having seen it before, or being in exactly this point in time right now. I don't get deja vus very often, but it's so fascinating when it happens. Right. You concentrate on the desk. Look at the picture opposite to see whether you can find a clue to the digits you need to know. So, I know I'm looking for 3 digits. I need to be ones and zeros, and it says right there 2100 to 2200, which means the digits presumably must be 100. So 100. I can't see any other ones now. That would be obvious. Nope, no, can't see it. So it must be 100. Right. You are suddenly interrupted by the entry of several North Arcadian guards. You too are arrested on the spot for being in an unknown dissident's room. All your equipment, including your sword, is stripped from you, but they do not find your slim money belt. Turn to 43. Okay. Okay, 43. Your trial is a farce. The Arcadians are sure something fishy is going on. What would a merchant from Earth be doing in a professor's room on Radix? From Earth? No, and why would he have a sword? You are sentenced to death, but the police tell you that the sentence will be commuted if you tell them what you know about the underground on Radix. Will you spill the beans or not? Well, most of what I know now is that Zacharias was the underground on Radix, and they know that too, so why should I not tell them? I think I need to save my game again. There's been quite a few of those today. 3, 6, 8. So spill beans. Not literally, of course. Or 3, 6, 8, not. I'm saving my game and I'm going to spill the beans. I'm just going to check what the other option is as well, by the way. 6, 8. Yeah. So as I suspected, not spilling the beans is actually the end. So the only correct thing to do is actually to spill the beans. And it seems at this point, it does seem like this is actually inevitable, that you can't actually avoid being in this position right here now. After racking your conscience, you decide that your mission is more important than any single cell of the underground. Yes, it is. And that you can tell them enough to keep them happy without giving everything away. You do so. The following day, having checked your information, the commandant returns. All right, Earthling, he says, your sentence is commuted from certain death to probable death. He laughs mockingly and takes you under guard to a room which has 2 doors leading from it. One of these doors leads to instant death. The other leads to a gladiatorial ring. Such fights are one of our amusements. We often send criminals through one or the other of the doors. The guards are watching you closely, and you realize that they will kill you if you show the slightest resistance. If you partake of our contest and defeat the 2 beasts we will send against you, we will escort you back to your spaceship. After the information you have given us, it would be better for you not to fall into the hands of your fellow humans, don't you think? Now make your choice. Which door? Right, so will you go through the right-hand door or the left-hand door? So we've got 293 or 397, left or right, and right. I think this is actually a very good spot to save my game and call it a day. This is quite a long enough episode, I think, now. So next time I will continue from this point, and I will presume that I will do the same in the beginning of the game. Now, it doesn't seem like I've missed anything. It looks like I've successfully got the information I wanted on Radix and on the first planet, whatever his name was again, on Tropos. And so I will start from this point from now on, so I don't have to repeat the same things over again. I have tried most of the options. I've done the whole maze. I've done basically every single route on Tropos imaginable. And I think this is a good place to start over again, I think, next time, right in the middle of a bit of drama. And so I will leave it there. And I'll just put... oh, I put the wrong arrows in the wrong place now. Let's see. So they are going from there to there. Okay, so this is where I'm at the moment, and I will continue from there next time. So thank you very much for watching. If you watched this whole way through, I quite enjoyed this playthrough now. I did sort of technically now die sort of 1, 2, 3 or 4 times, maybe something like that. But the thing is, I need to do this in this way by saving my game to keep the level of fun for me up. I'm not the one to sort of go into one dead end and then I start over again and I do the same things over and over again, and then I go to another place where I die and then I'll do the same thing over and over and over again. At some point that gets boring for me, so I need to keep it fresh and explore the new avenues, sometimes having a look at things that may be the wrong choice as well, because I want to try it at least once, and I think this is for me the most pragmatic way of playing these books. So next time I will see you and start from the end here, and where my probable death is shortly forthcoming. And I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I certainly enjoyed this playthrough, and I'll see you then with my next episode, which will be probably next week, most likely. So thank you for watching, and yes, like, share, comment, subscribe, join me on Patreon, blah 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 blah, all those things. And yes, goodbye for now. Bye bye.